What is going on, guys? This is the highly anticipated Codestrap review for his new video, so I'll try to do my best. But well, there's a bit of it where he talks to Tom Nash and Justin, and he just kind of describes some of the potential of it. And I'll just let that play through and maybe give it a little bit of color on that later. But all right, let's go.
Well, I feel good now, right?
Yeah.
So that's always going to be the issue, and why Tom, I think, has always craved like maybe not a consumer product, but
well, it won't always be the issue. It's only the issue now. I mean, okay, how many people were resistant to computers when they came around? You know, what are these fucking computer things? You know, why do I gotta learn? I gotta learn what again? DOS? Yeah. What the fuck is DOS? So it's like.
Low key. I remember one of the first video games I had to play. It was like a Power Rangers game or something, and you had to boot it up with DOS. And there was another racing game where you could only pick blue or red. I think it was like Zeus was like the blue one and the red one or something else. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys know what game I'm talking about. But like it was two cars and you had to load it up with DOS. Like, man, good old days, man. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's like there was a lot of pushback against computers, right? People are like, oh, this thing is never going to replace like a guy with a pencil. Come on, you know? So I totally hear where he's coming from.
Like people, you know, people are highly resistant to change, period. Anytime you come up with a new technology that is going to disrupt existing ways they operate, there's a natural reaction to just say no, right? But like that adoption eventually changes as the benefits are known. So like there is a point at which the thing you're talking about goes away when Palantir becomes the aspect.
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, and can you imagine buying like if it does become a huge OS?
Yep.
Nobody knew
when it becomes a huge OS. I know it will be. Like I don't think there's anything stopping it at this point.
When it becomes a huge OS, I don't care what the valuation was of Microsoft. Like if one could look in the future and think this is an OS, like a visual OS for normal people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You would have made a shit ton of money. If you had seen that with
Salesforce,
which I think like you rewind me in time, I still wouldn't have seen the Salesforce thing. I like your funny words, Magic Man. To most of this chat, right? A lot of them are saying that, which again, like I kind of agree. Like you clearly know your stuff. If you're telling us that this is going to be huge OS and that the TAM is kind of like undefined, right? Because it isn't really a thing.
It is.
Then
the way I've
been saying this for a year. We've been saying that for more than a year.
Yeah, but when he says it, he is going into why it's technical.
All right, let's get into it. So before we get started on this dashboard platform, which by the way looks fantastic on the screen, but anyway, dude, Codestrap is one of the most technical people when it comes to Palantir in the community. He's the most technical people. He's like the Gandalf of the community. Okay, he's like the all-seeing wise, you know. But I gotta say, man, it's gonna be tough for me to see that the user operating system side of it. Now, I'm not saying they can't do it. I really think they can do it, but I feel like that's such a huge step away from what they're currently doing. Maybe I'm wrong. Like my technical skill is of a particular thing, you know, so I could be wrong, but maybe I'll talk to Codestrap on that. Dude, if you're watching, man, we'll have a quick little discussion on it. You know, with my limited knowledge, I'll see if I can throw some curveballs and maybe you can just smack them into home runs. Who knows? But I feel like that one, it's not out of the picture, but I want to see some evidence of it first, right? For me, of course, Codestrap he deals with these guys more regularly than the rest of us, so it's possible that he knows something that we don't, you know, or he's just smart enough to infer from the things that are given to him. So, hey, kudos to him. But I think it's still an early company. They're going to start pushing out more sort of, iterations of their software, and Foundry's not the be all end all of things. Okay. It could be the enterprise version of it. They'll move on to something else for I shouldn't say consumer, but for more like broad market. So let's see how it plays out. But without further ado, let's get into this dashboard thing. All right. First off, right before I even start the video, if you take a look at this, the dashboard here, dude, man, like it's the one thing I always said about Palantir that is hard to replicate. Others have done it, but the idea is that the clean design is very tough to do. This is actually a thing that's happening. You know, every other company's trying to do as minimal. For a while, it was called material design into these like software, and now it's like there's a few other types of design stuff. but everything's clean. You know, what you need is basically, I think it's something like 2 clicks away or 3 clicks away, something very simple. Like if you need something from a particular context, you're able to get it within 2 clicks. Do you see what I'm saying? Very, very tricky. Before, from the older dashboards, everything was like jumbled up into one page where they could say, oh, look at all the features we have, but it was so convoluted, it was hard for you to look at. It's almost like finding Where's Waldo, okay? Whereas you have like a nice piece of cataloged software here where you can just kind of go through it one by one and all the necessary things are here. And if you want to go further, you got to click further down, you got to drill down. So that's really good. I like that. And just from looking at it, looks like code workbook. I guess that's like a Git. So if you can see here, so he's not clicked on concur yet, whatever that is, but you can see here, this is actual code. So this would be what would be like a Git repository. So they basically took on Git. Now, Azure, all the cloud providers have this already. And there's also tons of features, right? There's GitHub, there's GitLab, Bitbucket, so many different things in the market that do exactly this. But again, guys, if you're watching any of my videos, the one thing I look for Palantir is integrations, right? So I'm trying to tell you that this company is integrating all the stuff that's already there in the industry and putting it into one platform. Again, not something totally new, but the level to these guys the level to which these guys do it at is like another level. It is something that would be for sure coveted. It makes things easy. Like I wouldn't have to go to 5 different places to get this, right? I don't have to worry about Git hooks. It'll all come from this code workbook or whatever this place is called. So that's what code workbook is. It looks like you could upload your code directly here. Most likely it's using Git open source. And I'm sure it has some way of pull requests, which is basically a way to review and check in code. So basically when we code, you take off a piece of the master branch, like the main one, so that you don't screw it up and you work on your piece. And then when you're done with it, you check it back into the master branch, right, into the main. And before you check in, there's a review process where you can get other people to review the stuff you did, so you're not like throwing a brick into the pipeline, okay? Just to give you guys a heads up. All right, let's go. Yeah. See, create, edit, extend Foundry pipelines with code or point and click transforms in graph environment. Oh, it's a graph environment. Okay. Yeah, we knew that. So graph environment is a little bit different than you take a level up. It's not just like, the relationships are more so based on nodes rather than basically it's like when you click on something, it's like the ontology part, right? Where you click on something, it shows you the relationship of what you clicked on rather than what it actually is in a particular row. Analyze large data sets with filters, joins, and visualizations. Ooh, okay. Okay. So this could be something like Snowflake has something like this as well, where once you have your data lake, there's a layer that sits on top where you can take parts of your data lake, you can actually like query them. That becomes a data set, like a smaller data source, and you can push that into this analyzing sort of part. It's almost like a filter, and the end result of this can become sort of like an object that you move to somewhere else. You can export that and move to somewhere else, right? It's in advertising, in marketing words, it's called segmentation. There's categorization, there's labeling, like there's different stuff. But basically, you're taking parts of the data that you have, and you're able to run it through whatever certain filters that you want, and that becomes like a metric at the end result, and you can use that for other pieces in the pipeline. So I don't know what this is exactly, but this might just be a visual tool where you can do small edits and stuff. But so Foundry data, and I don't know what Foundry data specifically means here. Now, keep in mind, guys, I don't have access to the platform. I haven't done any reading on any of this stuff for documentation and stuff. I really want to get into it eventually. I've just been super busy at work. But what this is basically it's like a more traditional way of displaying the data set. Or not a data set, but data itself. So whatever's in Foundry, it'll probably have some small sort of like augmented output where it's like it's just like a surface level sort of entry point, and within there it's displayed as a spreadsheet, so you can drill down from there. I'm assuming you can drill down. I don't know, but I'm assuming you can click it and it'll drill down to the further context further down. Clean and format your data column by column to prepare it for use in Foundry. Okay. So there's a process. Now, again, all of this stuff has been around for a while. Again, different tool sets and things like that, right? Different actually people that do this in the entire pipeline. So there itself, you can tell somebody, you can basically combine like 3 or 4 jobs into one platform kind of thing, right? But anyway, so this is basically a way to sort of smooth in and massage your data before it goes into whatever workload that you're trying to put in. So if you have some extrinsic stuff that you don't want to get into your pipelines, and what filters you're going to apply, what kind of things you want to trim out, you could probably do it here. I'm assuming that's what this is. It's just preparation. It's more sort of massaging of the data before it gets into its main workload. Okay, so this is more like the SSAS stuff. So back in the day, Microsoft used to have this like SSAS product. So it's an analyzing tool, and it's like it was really bad. Okay, but this I'm sure is just it's going to analyze all the stuff you've already done. You can probably pipe in some of the existing Foundry pipelines you're currently running and the stuff from before, where the general outputs that it puts out, right? Probably from the spreadsheets. It'll probably pipe that into Quiver, where you can actually analyze it and see patterns and that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's filters in this part as well, so that whoever, usually this is where the analysts come in and take a look at what's happening. So before you go in, you need to have some sort of preconceived notion as to what you're looking for a little bit. And I'm sure you have some filters as well that you can set up and sort of like narrow the things you're looking for. This is honestly, again, all the stuff that we talked about in the past, SSIS, ASRS, like all that old school stuff that's always been there in separated disparate platforms combined into one. We just went through all 4 of those, okay? So this is the end part where the reports. Now, typically, this is actually, unfortunately, very, people don't pay too much attention to this. They finish at the analyzing side of it and they're like, okay, it is what it is. Reporting is huge. If you do it right, you can actually mitigate a lot of problems in your system, pretty much, and in your entire like chain, depending on what kind of work you're doing. So in this case, it's just going to generate these reports, all standard stuff. I don't think it's going to be too crazy, but what he's not showing you most likely is that the tool sets and the categories and like the things you can operate within this, like once he clicks this, right, the differences within that sort of page or whatever, the features in this macro feature would be really the things that distinguish Foundry from pretty much everything else. So the idea is that it plays so well together that you can add different filters from each step so that the end result of what you're getting is actually very detailed to what you're looking for. So for, I'll give you an example. I'm not talking about marketing because I did a huge marketing projects and I kind of like understood this. But the idea is that in marketing, when you're trying to like get to a certain point, you need to segment certain data. So these segments are basically bread and butter of entire targeting metrics and things like that. If you do it wrong in one step, you're screwed. So when you get to this part, the reporting part, if you do it wrong in the fusion stage, in the fusion stage here, or the contour stage, you're pretty much screwed, right? Like if you're putting the wrong filters and stuff. But in this case, you can probably add filters on each step. So if you understand what you're looking for, you have almost unlimited control throughout all these steps here. I could be wrong, but this is just from what I'm seeing here. Interesting. Write data transformation code for your project in Python, Java. So what would this be compared to the other one then? Maybe this is where the code repository is. If you notice here, it shows the aviation ontology API, ontology repo. It looks like he's been doing a few things here. So this is probably the major repository, whereas the other one was just a code for one particular project. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. This one probably directly gets into the. So if you're trying to build a pipeline, you can build a pipeline from code. Everything is from code nowadays. It's not, you're not clicking buttons anymore. If you're going to write a code to build a pipeline, you probably do it over here. Although I'm not too sure what the difference between this and the first thing is. The first thing we saw, I can't remember the name of it, but that one. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, here we go, guys. Here we go. Okay, this stuff is the like, for example, if you want to plug into Snowflake or whatever external data sources, this is it. Look how basic it is. They're like, yeah, if you want to do it, do it. But basically, yeah, if you plug into whatever database or data lake or data warehouse, you do it through here. You click this, it would ask you for most likely a connection string. If it's more like a data lake, you'll need a few extra categories to put in and pieces of data. But this is where you connect your external data sources. Status of your subscribe check groups. I don't know what subscribe check groups are, but data health generally sounds like it'll give you a status of how many pipelines have failed, how many pipelines have passed, what the results of it are, if it's tied onto a different business process, if it's already passed onto that process, is it passing a triage phase? So basically the life of your entire pipeline from end to end, it'll give you some sort of metric here. Guys, I don't know. There's so much here. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's a lot here to go through. I went through a few of them. I'll go over it again once there's some more videos. Codestrap is doing basically like a series where he's going to go through each thing and build an app on Foundry, I think it is. And once he starts uploading that, I'll see if I can tag along and explain things for you guys a little bit further as far as I can understand. There's a few things here, in my opinion, it seems a little bit redundant, but I don't think it is. Just because I don't understand parts of it, I think, is what the problem is here. But once I get some hold of the documentation and stuff like that, it's going to be more clear. But so far from what I can see, it looks like they're able to integrate lots of different parts, exactly like what I was saying and what Codestrap was saying, what all of the technical folks have been saying, which is that every time you have to do any work on anything in IT, it's on different platforms. And it's always been the way it is. That's why, like, people don't really, you just shrug it off, right? It's just how it is. But Foundry gives it a chance for everything to be smashed into one. It's actually pretty big, because the idea behind this is that you want to make everything on one platform so everything is easy. You don't have to worry about integration. The only thing you have to worry about is connecting one service to another service within one platform. So essentially, be part of the same network. You won't have to worry about like going outside and getting something or going to a different team or whatever the case is. It's all right there in front of you. Now, the control of this, if you notice on the left side, there's pretty much a whole bunch of things, right? You can control that through this thing called RBAC, which is basically role-based access control. And what that means is, say for example, me and you're on a team, and you're my boss, you would see more of that on the left side than I would. So you can access that and you can control that through basically onboarding clients and making sure that they have a specific role in mind. Codestrap didn't go through that, but that's pretty standard for a lot of these platforms. So by doing that, you can actually say, okay, are you a data engineer? You're going to get a whole bunch of data stuff, plus maybe the code repositories and that pipeline-oriented things. If you're a developer, you're only going to get the code repository and some of the triage stuff like monitoring and all this other thing. If you're SRE, then you get monitoring, alerting, any sort of pipeline-oriented metrics and that kind of stuff. So there's different ways to do this, but the idea is that the common denominator here is the fact that you're doing it on one platform. Like, so when you go to work, you're not logging into 16 different things. You're basically just going to one. So keep that in mind. This is just a short and skinny, hopefully. Hopefully this is not taking too long, but let me know if that helps. Let me know if that helps clarify some things that he described. It was a 3-minute video. I'm sorry I blew this out of proportion, but let me know in the comment section below if that helps you guys out. And as he puts up more videos, I'll take a look and get back to you guys on more stuff. Until then, catch you on the next one. Peace.